Hi there villagers, today we are making my grandma's rock buns. Very easy recipe, the kind of thing you can pad your oven out with. So we start with 250 grams of self-raising flour. And there's not enough in that tub, so we'll have to open a new packet. It seems to happen to me quite a lot when I bake. But it's a good excuse to wash the tub before we put the rest of this packet in. So that was 250 grams. Oh, no. Take a bit away. Try and be accurate. Time's in at least a little while. Next is a pinch of salt. You can measure this however you like, but I cup my hand and pour it into the little well at the bottom of the middle of your palm when you cup your hand. My measuring spoons also have a pinch. 100 grams of margarine. I'm using soft cooking margarine, but you could use butter. Spot on, straight off. That's not bad going, is it? We're now going to rub this together. So this is the flour, the salt and the margarine until it resembles breadcrumbs. You basically rub it through with your fingers with a very light touch. Take all your rings and watches and other jewellery off. To start with, all I've done here is coat the margarine in the flour and chop it up a bit just to give it a slight head start, and now we rub. Takes a little while. If you think it's all done, give your bowl a shake, because somehow that manages to get the lumpy bits to come to the surface. If you are better at physics than me, perhaps you can explain why in the comments. This doesn't generally need any ingredients you probably don't have in already, so there's no need to go specially out to buy anything. And now we're in a bit of a state. Wash hands. Swift cut and edit, and we're back. Now we're measuring sugar. This can be a little slapdash, but 75 grams of normal granulated sugar. And, oh yes, 50 to 75 grams of mixed dried fruit, or sultanas, raisins, currants, if you happen to prefer them separately. If you want more fruit, add more fruit. It's not going to make any difference, other than you'll end up with a slightly fruitier bun at the end of it. Right, give that all a mix. So far, everything's very dry. So now we add 1 beaten egg. And we get to use my tiny little whisk that comes in very handy, that I forgot to take out. Give it a whisk and pour it in the bowl. In it goes. Scrape it down, get all the goodness, as my youngest brother used to say. And the next stage is going to be a little bit of your own interpretation. You will need to use a small splash of milk. I suggest you do this in tiny, tiny little stages, because otherwise you're going to have to put more flour in to balance it if you get it too wet. So put a tiny splash in, mix it, see how it feels, put more in if necessary. If you make a mistake, and it has happened to me more than once, just throw a bit of flour in and keep mixing until it all comes out all right. You're looking to get a dough that basically holds itself together. Not quite the sort of dough you could roll out with a rolling pin, because we don't need to do that anyway. We're going to just make balls and pop them on a baking tray. So at this stage it just needs to hold itself together a bit. And I thought we had finished with the milk. Here's the baking trays. The mixture today made 7 quite good, decent, fat ones. But you could make smaller ones, or you could make it into a Victoria sponge type tin and just make a cake version and then cut it up. It's still on the dry side at this point, so I'm going to put some more milk in. Yep. Tiny little splashes in the dry bits of the bowl, and then try again. If you're not happy with putting your hands in the bowl, feel free to do this with a wooden spoon, but you will get a better idea of whether it's sticking together or not if your hands are in the bowl. There we go, that's what it's supposed to start looking like it might hold itself together. And then most of it's stuck to me. So here's a nifty trick. Get off what you can, and then grab some flour, dust your hands with it, and it miraculously comes off. And because it's only a little bit of flour, it's not going to make much difference to your recipe. And in actual fact, it helped greatly to stick it all together. I'm going to show it to you now. Looks like one big scone, doesn't it, at the moment? So a palm-sized bowl, and just give it a roll. No need to flatten, because it will sort itself out in the oven. So as I said, this made 7 decent palm-sized ones. You might be able to divide it equally, just straight off, but by the time I got to the end of the bowl, there was a bit left that made me go, that one looked very small, so I just added a bit more and re-rolled it. It's a very forgiving recipe. So, once you have done all of these, they can go in the oven 20 to 25 minutes. My oven was set at 160 degrees C, but I cook everything at 160, so that's not necessarily saying anything. And they come out when they are puffed up a bit and starting to go a little bit golden brown. There you go, and get 4 on that baking tray. Right, ready for the oven. What lovely beauties. I already had a cake doing in the oven, so we're just doubling up the cake space. And in they go. Bye-bye. See you in 25 minutes. Right, here they come. They've grown a reasonable amount, but aren't touching, which is important. Don't they look lovely? Here they are. Are you ready? Lovely.